Yo, what is up, my beautiful people? We've been waiting 13 years. That's right, 13 years for the next entry in the Test Drive series, and we finally have it. We finally have Test Drive Unlimited Solar Chrome. Now, I remember playing Test Drive Unlimited 2 on the Xbox 360, but back when I was a kid, I couldn't afford the Xbox 360. There was this video store not far from my house, and they had like an Xbox 360 display unit. And Test Drive Unlimited was one of the games. I remember my friend and I used to go to that video store and play Test Drive Unlimited for like hours after school. And I have a lot of memories of Test Drive Unlimited. So Test Drive Unlimited series has a special place in my heart, and we finally have the new version Test Drive Unlimited Solar Chrome, and we're here to see how it runs on the ROG Ally X. Back when I was playing on the Xbox 360, I would have never believed that we would be playing this full version on a handout of this size. What a time to be alive. Too early to live on Mars, too late to see the dinosaurs, but just in time to play Test Drive Unlimited Solar Cron on a handheld device. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into it, test the performance in all the different modes and resolutions, and see what we can get out of this game. But as always, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and let's get into it. Now, right off the bat, I am in turbo mode, plugged in, so 30 watts. I'm at 1080p right now, low settings, FSR set to balanced, and we are getting around 40 to 50 FPS here, just driving around. We're not in any races right now, just driving around the map here, and we get around, you know, in the high 40s to low 50s right now, which isn't bad. You know, we have that VRR screen. It's just high enough to not be choppy. I think once it gets over around like 40 FPS, the game starts feeling like, you know, kind of playable. And we do hit that threshold here at 1080p, low settings, FSR set to balance. This is very playable. It looks very good. Not sure how you can, if you can see like the lighting, the colors. The graphics actually do look good. 1080p low settings on this game here. Very impressed with like the lighting effects. You can see I'm in this like city environment here. Some of the reflections on the road here, you can see like the light reflections in the water actually do look pretty good. If you saw the neon lights earlier, but I was in like this little alleyway with all the bright lights, it actually does look pretty eye-catching. Let's see here. In here, like we see like all of the different lights. It actually looks pretty good. Now I will say, it's not like the best graphics. It's not like Cyberpunk maxed out type graphics, but it does look pretty good. I almost want to say it looks kind of like last gen. No, that's not like a diss or anything, but it just looks kind of like last gen. Like it looks like what the best of what a PS4 could do, and that's not like a knock on the graphics. This is like an expansive open world game, and it is running pretty well, like, you know, 45 to 50 FPS on a handheld. You know, for a game of this scale, it's not bad. Like the car does look pretty good. We have some like reflection effects on the car here, as you can see. It looks good from the inside as well, as you can see here. So the game overall, I would say it's looking pretty decent. It's looking good. Nothing that's like really jaw-dropping, but it looks good, it feels good, and I'm having a good time so far. Now let me see if I can get into a race or something. I do have an objective over here, so let's get into a race just to see what that is like, and we guys can see what it's like. But I'm gonna just drive around here. I'm gonna let you guys see, and hopefully we can get a sense of the performance here. Sorry for my driving, it's hard to play behind the camera.
In 800 meters, turn right. In 400 meters, turn right. In 200 meters, turn right. Turn right.
Now I will say the controls feel like somewhere in between like Need for Speed and like Forza. It's like it's hard to really pinpoint like how the handling feels. It does feel like less arcadey than like Need for Speed Heat, for example, but it feels like less realistic than Forza. It's hard to explain. It's kind of, I just say it's in between Need for Speed and Forza. Like not super arcadey. Like I can't just throw the car anywhere and it will just, you know, stay on the road. But I also don't have to be like super precise like, you know, Forza or Gran Turismo, where it's like a real sim game where you have to actually, you know, ride the throttle and really get the apex of every corner to make it. But you know, it does feel decent, I will say that. But let's get into a race and see how this thing actually performs. Okay, this is the first race of the game, so I don't know how it's gonna perform. I'm getting this live with you guys, but we are hanging around 45 FPS here. Let's see how it does. Okay, I hit that guy immediately. We got some slowdowns there. I did notice like a weird spike there. It's really hard to play behind the camera, so forgive me for my bad driving. I'm gonna try to do my best here to stay on the line. Okay, I saw it dip down to 39 just now. So I'm seeing 39 being the lowest so far. Back up to around 45. Oh, that's not good. That's not good, you guys. Okay, that was not the best race, but we tried our best here. And we got a 6th place, but considering that we kind of crashed and didn't get last, I'll take it. But anyway, during that race I saw a low of 39. I'll say an average around 45 in that race there, so low of 39, but we got to like 47, 45. I'll give it like an average of mid 40s there, which is not bad. 1080p low settings. Now we're gonna drop it down to 720p just to see just the difference in performance here. So let's go to 720p and see if we can get a little bit more frames here. So we're at 1080p now. We're gonna drop it down to 720p and see what type of performance we can get. Okay, so now we are at 720p, still at low settings after I set the balance, but we're automatically getting more FPS now. So right now we're hovering around the mid to high 70s, 79, I'm seeing 78, and it still looks decent now. It is, you know, lower resolution, and I can tell it's a little bit more like grainy, but I mean on this small screen it still looks good, 720p. And the added like smoothness I'm getting, I see it dropping down to like the low 60s here. I see 60 now. So yeah, we're getting around mid 60s now, in a more like densely populated, not populated, but more like trees and vegetation. Getting around 60 here. Oh, I see a jump. Is that a jump? It is a jump. Okay. So let's see how it looks in this light area here, back in the city. Getting around 64 FPS, so low to mid 60s, 69. So I think it depends on like where you're looking. So in the car we get dropped down to 57 in the car. So the car interior is harder to render than the exterior. I guess we have all this stuff here, but it's looking like the exterior is a little bit easier to render. Because when I come outside, I'm getting around 65, 66, and then when I go inside, I'm getting around 57. So I can't even hit 60 inside the car here. So I would rather play outside, even though I do like the interior, just for the added frames. I guess I'll be outside the car here, and let's just drive around. I'll just show you close up. It doesn't look bad. This is 720p here, and it doesn't actually look too bad. And we're getting like an average of over 60. So I would probably play like this, 720p, and then we can even like upscale it. We can use some RSR to upscale it. I think playing this 720p upscale will be amazing because it will still look pretty good, and we'll get an average of over 60. Now, a lot of people may suggest to go to 900p, but considering that we are just like trying to get 60 at 720p, I would say that maybe your best bet is to just be at 720p and then use upscaling to get to 1080. But just everyone in the comments is going to say go to 900p, go to 900p. We'll go to 900p and see how that helps us here. So 900p, yeah, see 900p, we're gonna get a little bit less average frame rate, so we're not at the low 60s, and I saw it drop down to around 59. So 900p is gonna be just at the threshold of 60, and I don't know, I'd rather be at 720p to get over 60 all the time than drop it down to 900p and get 60 sometimes. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Would you rather be at 900p to get 60 sometimes, or 720p to get 60 all the time? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. But I'm gonna do the race now. Same race, 900p, and we're gonna see how it does here. Okay, so that guy got out of my way this time, so he's learning. The AI is learning. But I'm not learning. Yeah, see, 900p, it's really hard to do behind the camera, sorry. 900p, like, we can't really hit, like, 60. So I'm kind of like, if I can't hit 60, then I might as well just go to 720p to, get the benefit of at least being at, like, a constant 60. Now, it still feels good. Like, the VRR, I don't, if I didn't have the frame counter up there, I wouldn't know that it's less than 60. But I think that I'm just leaving a little bit more, like, FPS on the table. And in a racing game like this, you want a little bit more FPS, a little bit less latency, so your response time can be just a little bit faster. Especially playing online, you want to make sure you can mitigate any sort of system latency, because you're gonna have to deal with like network latency. So we haven't hit 60 FPS yet, and I'm really failing right now. But just consider that I'm behind the camera, and don't think I'm a bad driver. Okay, so let me drop it down to I can't even pause the race, which is kind of crazy. Let me drop it down to 720p here and see what we can do. It's kind of wild that you can't even pause a race on a single player game. The always online thing is like kind of garbage in my mind. I like online racing, just to be able to compete with other people, but for like the single player aspect, like, that's kind of garbage. Like, if it's an emergency, I can't pause a race even though it's just me and AI. That's kind of whack, if you ask me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think like being online all the time, even like if you're single player, you think that's okay? I don't know. I feel like always online is like, it's garbage for single player games. Okay, so 720p, we're able to get like an average of over 60. So I would say this game looks good, plays good. I'm gonna dive into it more, maybe do some future videos as we get into it. If performance really tanks like halfway through the game, I'll do an update. But my initial impressions on this game here is that it feels good. It feels decent, definitely playable. Now, you saw me get into a little bit of situations, going off the road and off the track. but I'll chalk that up to, you know, being behind the camera. It's hard to see at this angle because the device is like 90 degrees to the camera, but my face is like at a 45-degree angle, so it's kind of like difficult to see. You know, I'll chalk the bed driving up to that. It feels decent. The handling model feels okay. Like it's less arcadey than Need for Speed, but more arcadey than like Forza or you know, Gran Turismo, of course. But it's in between those two. It looks good, runs pretty decently. 720p, low settings, and FSR balanced. We are able to get like over 60, and that's pretty good for an open world game like this, especially on day one. You know, maybe you may see some patches to increase that performance, but I'm satisfied with the performance. I'm not. Some games you turn on and it's like, the performance is like kind of bad. You know, even like at 720p, it looks bad. This game looks decent at 720p and runs over 60. I will call that passable. Now that may not be, you know, reach your requirements, but I would say 1080 or 720p. Low settings, definitely passable. 900p low settings, FSR balance, very playable. And then 1080p, we're getting like, you know, low to mid 40s. That's still playable. So from 1080p all the way down to 720p, you go from, you know, playable to passable to decent, I would say. And, you know, in my mind, that is a good experience overall. So I give this game on day one on the ROG Ally a pass. I don't have no official scale, but I do give it a pass. And yeah, I think you should definitely check it out. If you don't like the online always aspect, then that could be something to consider. But I do think this game looks decent, plays decent. I'm gonna get into like the actual content and, you know, how it plays out, but just my initial impression, this game looks good. Not sure I can recommend it for the full price just yet, but if you're into, you know, racing games and into you know, test drive and what that means, check it out. You give it a try. I guess you can always refund it, but my initial impression is that it's a decent game, plays well, looks pretty good, and yeah, I mean, I can't complain too much on day one. We could see some, you know, improvements, but yeah, that's my initial impressions and, you know, performance overview of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. And yeah, I mean, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear you guys, you know, thoughts on this game. Are you picking it up on day one? Are you waiting for a sale? You know, what's your thoughts on Test Drive? Have you played Test Drive in the past? Is this your first one? Let me know. You know, what's your favorite racing game as well? Like, let me know what's your favorite racing game that you will play instead of this if you're not going to play this, because there's a lot of great racing games out there right now, and this is probably not even top 5. No hate, but it is what it is. I would rather, you know, play Need for Speed or maybe even Forza. But, you know, I'm excited to check this one out, just being a fan of the series from all those years ago. But yeah, you know, as always, like, subscribe, ring that bell, all that great YouTube stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. We waited 13 years for this. Was it worth it? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to find out. Peace.